Welcome to a new fragrance review. Today I'm going to tell you about different types of leather note. So, in fragrances, we often see leather as a note, and there's suede also. Sometimes there's even color associated with leather. So, today we're going to talk about the main notes of leather. We won't go with stuff like if someone would call it purple leather, that is not a note that actually exists, but sometimes people just put names and color together just for marketing purpose. So we won't go with those, but actual color of leather examples and what usually those leather notes are. So leather, usually there's two ways to have leather in a fragrance. The first one is to have an aroma chemical that smell like leather, and the other one is to make an accord. Usually the accord will have different ingredient, most likely including labdanum and castoreum. Could have something else in those two ingredients, but like those two ingredients are really big players in an accord of leather. It's long time ago, at least. That used to be how they made that smell. Now maybe there's other stuff, a lot of aroma chemical, like something synthetic and not something that's natural. But that's one of the way to make leather. So the first leather note I want to talk about is green leather. So green leather is actually the note of leather that is usually in green fragrance, mostly those 80s fragrance like Polo by Ralph Lauren, even though it's not an 80s fragrance, and Quorum by Antonio Puig. Usually those notes are made in the old time by isobutylquinoline, and now it's made by pyralone, which are a different aroma chemical that smells like leather. It smells extremely harsh. I have pyralone here, and to have smelled it extremely powerful. That's one of the most powerful aroma chemical that I had the chance to smell, and it smells really green and herbal. That's the best way I can describe it, which is why it's green leather. Usually that ingredient is surrounded with other green notes like pine, oak moss, basil, thyme, different kind of herbs that contributes to give him is more green aspect in a way, but also it makes that sharp green kind of nasty note or aspect more hidden behind other stuff. But definitely if you're smelling an 80s fragrance and there's a leather inside of it, there's a lot of chance it's a green leather note, and that's what it is. I think the best way to pick up that note will be Quorum and Pull by Ralph Lauren, which it's pretty easy to pick up those notes, and I know for sure that it's those ingredients that create the note. Another leather, I will go with really leather, then I will go with different things that are a bit like leather, and it's brown leather. Now, brown leather is a bit more of dirty or countryside-y kind of leather. It's a bit more dusty, a bit more rough than other kind of leather, without being like sharp and intense like a green leather. The best example of brown leather I'm having is Cuir Intense by Guerlain. But most of the time, the leather note that you're gonna pick is brown leather. Brown leather is nice. It's soft, but it's really masculine at the same time. And it's often in the sense that it's not aggressive and a bit too intense. In an old school fragrance, it used to be green leather. They liked things that were more intense. Now they want something more soft, especially with leather. Most leather fragrance tend to be a bit softer and nowadays, and even the leather note is not super present, even if they call it intense leather like Ferragamo, which the leather fragrance is there, but it's really hidden. But there's not much to say about brown leather. It's pretty much the usual leather note that you're gonna pick up, at least in modern fragrance. Next leather note is black leather. Now, black leather, usually brown leather, green leather, and black leather is just stated as leather, so you won't really know which one it is unless you smell it. But black leather is more, I would say, industrial. I would say synthetic, but not synthetic as like something chemical and nasty, but synthetic as it's not like a brown leather that is natural. It's more of a synthetic leather without the note itself being synthetic, if it makes sense. two example with a really great present black leather note. There's Le Jugement Dernier, which is one of my fragrances that have a black leather note, and another fragrance that have a black leather note, sadly is also a niche fragrance, is Oud Cuir d'Arabie by Montale. I have nothing that is like mainstream, cheap, that you can just go in a place and try it for that kind of leather note. It's more rare, that kind of note. But definitely it's really unique. And if you want something that smells like leather, like hardcore leather, that's what you're looking for. It's a black leather note. Next leather note is suede. And suede actually is some kind of leather, but what suede is more of a dusty or powdery version of leather, the kind of smell it is. It's really similar to brown leather, but it's less leathery and more powdery. It's less like thick, it's more just airy, still there, pretty soft. Well, what's nice with suede though is that it's always disclosed as suede. In a fragrance, it's never stated as leather, so it's going to be easy for you to find. But one good example for a suede note is Lacoste Blanc. And it's not like only suede, there's other stuff, but there's a nice, really present suede note in the background, which makes the fragrance extremely unique, extremely good. Finally, last note of leather, as in a real note, is Labdanum. Now, Labdanum is not a leather note by itself, but it smells a lot like leather. And Labdanum, you need to know that it's made mostly, like it's used mostly in two different kind of fragrance. There are leather accord, but also there is labdanum and amber accord, because the smell of labdanum is really overlapping both smell. So I would say that labdanum is more of an ambery leather. It's not quite leathery, not quite ambery. Personally, I would say it's more leathery than ambery. It's nice, it's soft. I would say the type of leather it is, it's more of some kind of old leather glove that doesn't smell leather much, but still kind of smell good and still have a bit of that leather. And I'm saying a glove, but it can be anything else than a glove, but smells like a bit of leather, like leathery aspect to it, almost like a suede. Also, it's more powdery, it's more airy, it's more floral in a way than leather itself. The best example I have for a labdanum fragrance is Leather Copper by Lalique, which is best display I've ever seen of labdanum. It says leather copper in the name, but there's no real leather card. It's really just labdanum in a big showcase that makes you like smell that little leather note. So that's it for the leather notes. Tell me if there's any type of letter that you think I forgot. Also, tell me which one is your favorite letter. Hope you enjoyed the video. If it's the case, well, like and share. And see you soon.